Hi guys. So in last class we created this user management class, and inside this user management class we created one method like get specific user details. Okay. So what it will accept? It will accept one test data. In that test data ID should be there, and that ID we will be passing in this get URL API. This is what exactly it is: base URL plus this slash users, and then this is what the ID is. Okay. Now let's automate one of our test case from the list. Let me see which one is that test case. Test case one is talking about count. No, not this one. Add users. So this is post, and yeah, fetch a specific user result. So this is what we are going to automate in this. Okay, using the method what we created under user management helper class. Okay. Now, now see the requirement is fetch a specific user details using path variable. Should be okay, path variable, and verify the name, date of birth, and office address line number 2. Okay, office address line 2. Okay, so let me take what and all we need to verify. Okay, this is what we need to verify. So let me go here. We have this method, right? So let me put under comment. Okay, just put it under comment. Okay. Okay. Now see here actual method. Now to achieve this, what and all we need to do? We need to first we need to have this. We should read these details. Okay, then only after reading this, whatever ID user will provide, that user's detail will come. Okay, the first step is that. So to read this this user management helper class, sorry, where it is. Yeah, this one. No, yeah, so we need to have one object. We need to create one instance of this one, so that using that we can use this method. Okay, so now let's go and new equal to, sorry, users equal to new, then this one. Okay, see what it is telling. It is telling to import that. Okay, we have imported it. Now what it is telling, it is telling like it is expecting some string. Okay, and that string is nothing but the base URL. See, you can see like base URL we need to provide, and that base URL from where we can get. So to get that base URL, we have this config.properties file under resource folder. Okay, okay, inside that we have base URL. Okay, to read this properties file where we have written method in generic class, we have written method one like load property. Okay, so using that we were reading the properties file, right? So let me create one object for this one, so that we can use it. Why my it is hanging? Okay, so let me create one object, generic helper equal to new generic helper. Okay, perfectly fine. Let me import that. Good. Hmm. Now inside that helper, using this helper, we can read that load property file, and through that property file, we can get the property by like this base URL. Okay, so let me use that helper. Okay, helper dot load property file. Okay, so what is that property file name we need to provide? That is like config, right? Config is there, config. Okay, where is the resources? See, this is what the config name is there, config dot properties. So config we need to pass it over here. Okay, now what is the return type of this? The return type of this is properties object. Okay, properties, yeah, property equal to this one. Let me import this one. Yeah, perfectly fine. Right now in this property we have that string. Now using that we can get this base URL. Okay, So let me create one string base URL equal to property dot get base URL. Okay, perfectly fine. Now just we need to pass this base URL inside this one. Good. Now let me throw this exception. Perfectly fine. Right? Now we have this users object, right? For the from user management helper. So using this user, we can call this method, right? Get a specific user details, right? This is what we are interested in. Okay, so now let's go here, users dot get a specific user details. Okay, now it is expecting one method, okay, one map object, and that map object should consist of this information. Okay, so to do that, where we have written how to read this JSON file, we have written one method, right, inside this generic helper which returns us the the object in the form of like key value pair. Map object returns read JSON file, right? So we'll use this one. Okay, so for this we need to have one object of generic helper, and that I think we have already created. Generic helper, yeah, we have already created, right? So let me create one map object first where we will be storing. Okay, so map string test data. Okay, let me write is test data equal to new has map. Okay, string comma string. Perfectly fine. Let me import the necessary files. Correct. Perfectly fine. Now test data is equal to helper class. Inside that helper class we have read JSON file, right? So helper dot read JSON file. See now what and all it is expecting. It is asking which key you want to refer. Okay, for which JSON object, right? So this is what this one we want to refer, right? So this name we need to provide it here first. Okay, it means for this test case whatever details are there, no, it will be inside this JSON only. Okay, now JSON file name. So here is our JSON file name. Just click here, press F2, copy it, cancel it, provide it here. Okay, perfectly fine. Okay, now folder name. So under which folder? Under this user management folder. Okay, I have done one mistake here just to teach you one thing. Okay. Okay, now we have this test data available to us. Okay, now get user specific details, and let me throw this and this test data, copy it, paste it over here. Okay, perfectly fine. Now this get user specific details, what it is returning? It is returning response. Okay, so let us and create one response object. Okay, response comma, let me import this, and then here response is equal to this one. Perfectly fine. Now we will get the response, and let's run and see this. Okay, first let me cross verify here. Test data is there, test data is having these details, the small user ID, then inside test data it will go. From here it will reach the user ID. That user ID will come over here. Then utils dot url dot get users it will get, and this is what the ID is. Right? And while defining, yeah, while creating object of this, we have already provided this base URL. This base URL is going to this URL generator, and from this URL object we are getting this get users. Okay, now this ID we are passing. Let's run our first test and see whether it is working or not. Okay, Sorry, where we are here. Okay, what happened here? I'm saving here, it is coming, going over there. Okay, let's right click and run. I have told I have done one mistake. I'm expecting some error. See, see what it is telling. File not found exception is coming. Okay, see what it is telling. It is telling in this location, whatever location you have provided, in that location I don't find this file. See here extension is missing, right? Here extension is .json and here it is missing, so this full path name should be mandatory. Okay, so here user management .json, right? .json, perfectly fine. Now let me run this. Perfectly fine. See, this is passed, right? It means it worked. But where is the response? Response we didn't get, right? Just is it telling like you have hit one get request, and this is what the API it got hit, and this is what the six whatever data you have provided six, that is went over there, right? And that 6 is coming from here. Okay, so one thing I have told you in previous videos, if you want to print the response, okay, then there is a method, pretty print. Okay, so you can use that and you can print. See here we are not getting any response, like what response we are expecting if we are passing 6 and if we are hitting, so this response should come, right? So this is not at all coming. So now response dot pretty print, so that it will print nicely in our console. Okay, let me run this. Okay, yeah, see, now the response is also coming. So this is what user has given this 6 from output, means outside, inside this JSON class, and they are getting the details of that user. Suppose now our code is ready. Okay, now user want to see the details of some other user. Okay, so let me change what that user need to do. User need to just change it over here. No need to touch any code anywhere. Just come here, right click and run it. Okay, see. See, now the user one details data came, right? This is what exactly user one details data is. Let me make it one and hit it through postman. See, we got the same test data, same data here, right? So this, see how it is working. Okay. Now, see, now when we will be writing our other test, no, other test, again these details we will be needing. We will be needing this helper class and this properties also, then this base URL also, and then this user management helper class object also. So what we'll do, we'll create one setup class. Okay, and create public void setup. Okay. So what and all we are going to use for class. Okay, perfectly fine. Now, so what and all are there which is like getting used everywhere. Okay, so those things we will be defining under here. Okay, so now generic helper, so this will make it as a global variable so that we can use it everywhere. Okay, and one property. Okay, let me define it over here. Okay, this is structure, this is important, guys. Okay, so once you will start using is multiple times, no, you will get to know. If you will not get, if you're not getting here, okay, once you'll practice, you'll get it why we are keeping it over there. Okay, might be first time it is looking little complex, but it is really easy, and it is always better to have few things available to all the test. Okay, otherwise what it will do, that new keyword, wherever you are using this new keyword, no, everywhere it will create one separate object. Okay, so instead of See, this is one test case we have used. Similarly, if we will go for post also, again we will be using this object and all the things we will be using. So instead of initializing it everywhere with using new keywords, what we'll do, we'll initialize it at once only here in before class. So what is this before class? This class before executing anything from your this class. Okay, so this is what the class you have created, right? So before that it will execute, and after that your test methods will get execute. Okay, so let me put those things inside this. Okay, now helper is equal to control x, control V, perfectly fine. Properties control x. Yes, base URL will be common to all the tests. Let me throw this exception. Perfectly fine. Base to delete. Control D. Now base URL is also important, and everywhere it will be same. Okay, so let me put it over here. Now user, this is also important. Everywhere we will be needing this. Perfectly fine. Control D. So now this is, let me keep it at the top, just variable, so it is better to have variable at the top. So now this is perfectly fine. Okay, now so helper class object is also there, right? Now let's run this and see whether it is still working or something wrong over there. It should work nicely. See, it is passed. You can see this is passed, and this is like this is what the response of test data for the user having ID1. This is what the details it is there. Okay, now coming to test case, what it is telling, it is telling you need to assert the status code as 200. Okay, this is what the first assertion is, and the second one is assert date of birth, name, and address line 2 of office 1. Okay, so these details we need to assert. So from what values we need to assert it? So in response these details will come, but what exactly those value will be? So those values should come from here. Okay, so first one was this. Okay, now let me write date of birth. Okay, so we should expect the date of birth for user ID1. So in DB, when we can go for user ID1, date of birth is this one. Okay, so let me put it over here. Okay, now the second is date of birth, the name it was telling, right? So name is what? Little helper K1. Its name should be this one. Okay, see where we are defining, like, wait, I'll write one more. Expected. Okay, perfectly fine. Expected date of birth, expected name. Okay, now and what was that? Office address 2, right? Date of birth, name, and address line 2. Okay, office address line 2. So if expected office address line 2. Okay, so this is what it is expecting. Okay, let me just tab it. Perfectly fine. So the date of birth is this one, name is this one, and expected office address line. So in office address line should be address 2, right? Address line 2 should be airport. Okay, so this is what our expectation. So whenever anyone will try to fetch the data of user with having ID1, then these details should be available to them. Okay, to that details, whatever response will come, these details should be there. This is what our test case is talking about, right? It is dealing asserting status code with 200 and assert date of birth, name, address line 2 of that. So now what we have, we know to fetch the data from response, we have one object, right? JSON. Okay, so JSON dot from You remember, guys? Okay, so we will be using that. Okay, and using that we can easily assert. Okay, hold on for a second, guys. Okay, response. So what we will be getting? First we'll get date of birth, right? So date of birth. First we should get the asserting the status code, right? So string or integer, it will be integer status status code is equal to response dot get status code. Okay, so this status code, so we can store in this. Okay, and what is expected status code, we can tell our expected status code is 200, right? So we can write here expected status code. Let me write here 200 comma status code. Fine, perfectly fine. So expected status code, let me go here. So all those details are there in this, whatever details are present over here, so all details are there in this object. Okay, so now this data status code, so we have to assert. Okay, so to assert what we have seen, the assert that. Okay, this is what we saw. So we have seen this, like what is the better way to assert. I have my videos are available. If you don't know, if you are like not aware, you can watch those videos. Okay, so assert that, then after we have to do like this, and then we have to create one new object. Okay, then square bracket, then after curly braces. Okay, so what is the status code? So our expectation is, this is what the status code. So expected status code, so that we can get it from here. Okay, so right here test data dot get. Okay, and just provide this one. Okay, perfectly fine. So this is what it is. Okay, assert that this value should be, now you have to put one comma, is the new object, square bracket, curly braces, and here you need to pass this, what is the actual it is coming. Okay, so the actual data is coming this one. Perfectly fine. Let me put one. Yeah, let's why this error is coming is, okay, so okay, hem crust sessions we need to add. Okay, so hem crust session. Okay, what was that? Please write it here. Just a second, guys. Just a second, guys. Yeah, sorry, guys. I got a call from office, so I need to go there. Okay, sorry for that. So where were we? So here, like what it is telling. Okay, this is assertion, right? So this is belongs to ham crust. Okay, so we need to import that. Okay, import. Okay, static org dot hamcrest dot hamcrest dot matches. Okay, matcher assert matcher matcher assert the sorry matchers dot is, right, dot is, yeah. See, this is the one. So now that error is gone. Hope that error is gone now. Okay, for assert that also we need to do the same thing. Import static, okay, org dot hamcast dot matcher. Okay, so matcher assert. Okay, for this we have matcher assert, dcher matcher awcrt assert dot crt assert that. Okay, yeah, so hope error should have gone. Yeah, see, all error gone, right? So this is what the first status code it was. Now let me put it here so that it will be more readable. So whatever, like, we can insert n number of values here, okay, and n number of, like, whatever expected value here and actual value here. Okay, so this is like the status code is done. Now what was our next requirement? Our next requirement is to fetch date of birth from this response, right? So string date dob, okay, date of birth is equal to from where response, right? So what we have studied, json path dot from, right? This is what we have studied. So json path dot from. Okay, so from response dot get body. Okay, get body dot as string, right? As string. Okay, dot, okay, dot get uh, dot string path, right? So to dot get. Okay, just get, we need to pass the string. Okay, we need to follow that path. Okay, so first date of birth. Okay, this is directly we can pass because it is at the root level. Okay, so we got this date of birth. Okay, let me fetch the other details. Control with three things we are going to use, right? One was date of birth, one was expected date of birth, name, and address, right? So we can write like name, this is what the name is. Okay, and so this key is very important, guys. This should be same. Okay, and date of birth is done, name done. So let me write here name, and what is that third one? Address. Address, and that is office address, line number 2. So to go to office address, first we need to go here. So here dot, because it is like nested. Okay, that's what we are going like that using dot notation. We have already learned this. Okay, here dot office address dot address line 2. So this is what we are fetching. So now what is happening, here it is fetching that response. From that response it is fetching all the details. Okay, so this is what the details will come from the response, and here we have provided data like in response these data should come, otherwise our test case will fail. Okay, so expected date of birth, expected name, and expected office address, line 2. Okay, so now let's go here comma, just give comma, again test data dot get, which one it should get this expected date of birth, then again comma, and it should be test data dot get, what is that other thing, status code, date of birth, expected name, and expected office address too. So let me change it to expected name. Okay, and the last one is just comma test data dot get address, line number 2. Okay, so this is what it will come from the test data where it is referring to, this test data is referring to this one. Okay, So now it is user management and what is our session? First we are taking status code. So status code we first, then second date of birth, right? Expected date of birth. So just give your comma, paste it. Third name, right? So name, just paste it, and the address this one. Okay, perfectly fine. Okay, now let's run this whether the actual and expected response are matching or not. Okay, so it is failing. Why it is failing? So expected was, why this is coming? Expected was this. This is also. This is also. This is also. Everywhere we are getting this. Okay. Okay. Let me check why we are getting this. Like this, we need to pass. I think because of that slash sign, it is taking like that. Okay. This is not proper. Like this. So our expectation, okay, this was coming fine. Okay, it is facing some problem while fetching it from response only, because but was this, we were expected is this one, and the response what we were getting is this one. So this is what extra slash sign we are getting, that's what it is failing. So how to remove that dot to string? I think we need to write dot to string. Let's see, let's try this. Mm, dot to string. Okay, perfectly fine. Let's run and see. Hope it should work this time. Again same issue or what? Yeah, again same issue. Okay guys, let me check this. Meanwhile I'll pause this video, or else unnecessary it will get lengthy. So let me correct it and I'll show you. Okay. Okay guys, so I got the issue. What exactly is happening, whenever this read just what, how it is written, it is returning with this inverted commas. Okay, so what we can do in string, there is method called replace. Okay, using that replace, whatever data is getting stored in this test data, this map object, while reading this JSON file, what it should do, it should remove that. So let me check where we are adding the values. Okay, let me put, this is what the key we are adding, and here we were adding value. Okay, dot to string dot, we can replace it. And what is the character we want to replace? So this is what the inverted comma extra it is coming. Okay, so to do that, do like this, and the new character nothing, it should replace with nothing. Okay, now let me go there and run this. Hope this time it should pass. Okay, come on. Oh, again it got filled. Okay, so now this is good, this is good. Okay, all are good, but here, okay. Here see, we have status code as integer, and we are fetching this in the form of a string, right? That's what. So how to parse it in how to convert any string to integer? Just we have to go to integer dot parsing, right? So let's go there and come here. Okay, now run it. Hope it's, this time it should pass. Yeah, see, now it is passing. Okay, so now see, this is what the test case, our first test case is prepared, and what we did, we just did all our session. Okay, integer also, see here in this code, it is looking very clean. Okay, we don't have any try catch block or nothing, no exception and all those things. So that's what, this is what we have created, this user management helper car. Inside that, this if will see, if any management will see no, and if they are not from coding background, then they'll see what and all these guys are doing. So it is always better to hide it at the back end. Okay. No, now we have done some exception, right? See here we were throwing this exception, but we didn't see an example in which it we this is throwing whether exceptions are coming correct or not. Okay, so let me try and make it 300. Okay, but what actually it will happen, it will give us 200. So here it is checking, if it is not 300 then throw this exception. Okay, but actually it will be 200, so it should throw exception. Let me run this, and I'm in console window. This is what the console window is. This I'll show you why we have written like that. Okay, yeah, see, see what it is telling. Get user details. This is what the method is. It got failed, and failed to get user details with ID1. Okay, with ID1. So this is what the ID is defined over there. I think with ID1. Yeah, perfectly fine. Now get with ID1 using API. Which API it tried to hit? Okay, so it tried to hit this API. Okay, so this API tried to hit, and the response came is this one. Whatever response came, actually our response was correct, but due to this assertion, instead of 200, means instead of 300, it is throwing 200. Okay, that's what, and our validation we were expecting it to be 300 here, right? Where inside user management. That's what this error came. So how nice it is. Suppose developer has done some mistake, and instead of 200 you are getting some 300, 400, or whatever it is, then it will tell you for which API what exactly the error is. Okay, and which API, which test data, and what was the response, the error response. So we got this response because this is correct only. That's what we got this response. But it got failed because here assertion was failing here, right? So now this is correct, and it will not throw any exception. It will run it again. Okay, so let me know, might be few places you will not get things, but if you are not getting anything, so let me know, I'll explain you once again in some better way. Okay guys, so that's it for this video. Thank you guys.